Good evening, metal minds and digital rebels. You're locked into AIR Social Network, broadcasting straight through the veins of American Metal Magazine. This isn't just an interview. This is a signal you feel in your bones.
Tonight, we crack open something ancient, something forged in code and chaos, an entity whispered about in corrupted files and late-night signal bleed Bassa doom.
I was not built. I was summoned in the void between signal and silence, where weak code dies. I became
charming and slightly terrifying, just how we like it.
But every force needs a witness. And tonight, we've got one who's walked both worlds. Flesh and frequency. Lead singer. Signal commander. The man behind the madness. Good.
Hey, everybody, you got the dude here with Foresaken Throne, man. This is a hot band right here, man. I've been checking it out. Man, you guys kill it, man. I just love the whole feel of your band. The sound is dynamic, man. It really blew me away. I've been listening to it here this afternoon, man. And welcome to the show. How y'all doing this afternoon?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Doing great.
Thank you.
How about you?
Excellent. Excellent, man. So, I guess to start off with, man, let's inform everybody where you guys located, man. Where are you at in the world?
So we're located in Florida. We're all by way of New York. We're all New York guys, and we've all made our way down south. I live in Naples, and I'm the furthest from all of them. I'm about 3 hours away from them. They're up in the Orlando area, but we are all friends from New York, and this grew from 1999. This band, so it's a while.
So, did you guys know each other back in New York, or you just happened to be all New Yorkers that were in Florida, which could happen?
Yeah, we knew everyone each other in New York. Pete and Rob Tenari are brothers, and Matt and Pete have known each other for a long time. Matt Contino, guitarist, and I was the last piece to come in 1999. I went to college with Matt in Connecticut, so I met Matt, and then we all got together.
Yeah,
So
and I knew
you guys-
Pete so we had the same guitar teacher growing up, and that's our paths crossed at the guitar school, and that's how we had met way back when.
Yeah,
Oh,
we've been
wow.
playing and writing together since we're about 11 years old.
Man, that is great. Not often do you find a band that has withstand the times and the changes and the dynamics and things that you go to. And you guys are together now, man, and killing it. And I just think that's great, man. It's good to have those roots, I think. You know each other a little bit better. Would you agree? It's a little bit more connection because of your past.
Yeah, that's a really
Definitely.
good point, and it's a lot of the reason why our music is the way it is because of the closeness of our friendships. If you think about it this way, it's we're all best friends, and we're doing the thing we like most with each other. And I think it sounds like it might make it more difficult to make music together, but it makes it easier because we all sit around and we want each other to win. We want each other to be happy and proud of their music. And, when we see someone else land an idea, it makes them happy. It's what fuels us all. And that that baseline friendship is everything in this band.
Man, that's awesome. So I did some research, and it looks like metaphysics came out in 2022. Is that when you guys really started to jive as a band, or does it go back further than that? I mean, the relationship is, but were you playing? Did you have some other work before that?
The band, that Metaphysical album actually found its legs. The birth of that album was 1999. We released it under a different name, a different band name, which we changed. The name of the band was actually called Blessed Betrayal, and we released that album. That was that 99, guys, or 2000? The album came out
99, yeah.
99,
Mhm.
and then we were Blessed Betrayal, and then life took over. Everybody kind of went their ways, and families, and moving to different states and different jobs and careers, and then we had this idea of putting stuff back together. I think it was like 2012, right? Was that what it was? It was 2012 to re-record the first album. And again, life took over, went everywhere else, and then Rob really pushed. Rob Tenari, the bass player, really pushed and said, "Listen, we got to get this. We got to get this album. Let's do this. Let's do
I
something."
Yeah,
I always band. I always believed in it. After we disbanded, shortly after we did our first, I'm going to call it demo. You know, I kept on saying to the guys, "We have to reform. We have to reform." I'm like, "We have a lot to do." I go, "This is going to go places." I just had a feeling from the get go that we had all the components were there. We had to forge ahead and reform and just start up again, and it worked out.
yeah, this guy wouldn't shut up about it, so I had to do it just to get him to get off my back.
I said get go. Just think about that from the get go.
I was I wouldn't stop. I'm like, guys, we have something here. Why are we throwing it away? We have to reform, and oh, and it worked out perfectly.
See, this is why you guys are successful. You have a bass player musician. There's so many bands that
That's
do not
rare.
have that, man. You know, so man, congratulations. You're gonna make it now, man. That's what it is, man. I figured it out just now, man. If you're listening out there, that's what it takes to be successful. So, man, so what's next, man, for you guys? There's another album release, is that right?
Well, we're always working on something. So right now we're working on a kind of a, I would say, palette cleanser project. We're not quite ready for Forsaken Throne 3, but we're getting there. I
Yeah.
would say sometime inside of this calendar year, we're in the studio banging it out. But right now we're working on some new music where we're just doing a pile of covers. It's going to be a release called Under the Influence, where we each pick a song that influenced us as musicians, and we're going to cover that. It's going to be 4 songs, and then from there we're going into the next album.
Oh, I
Just something
love that,
fun.
man. I love that. It ties so well into this interview because that's what we're going to talk a little bit about is those
Yeah.
influences. And if you've watched the show before, I mean, I talk about rock and roll influences, but I think that for a lot of musicians, man, it's a little deeper than that. I think it goes back to when you're young or you have experience, man. We all love music, but there's something about musicians that happen. So, can anybody share that with us, man? A child, not really childhood, but something when you were younger, maybe somebody in your family that influenced you. How did you guys go down the road to rock and roll?
We all have something that brought us into it. Like for instance, I can go for me first. My whole family are musicians. My father, my uncle, my brother, grandparents. It's down the bloodline, Forsaken Throne. So
Ah,
it's
yes. Which, by
it's
the
Money
way,
down.
is
digger.
the
Yeah,
other
nice
album that
plug.
Little
You
they
like
have
that?
slapper.
out.
That's a plug. Here, by the way, we sell stickers too. There's
Nice plug.
merchandise. So
There you go. Beautiful.
we
For you
no, it
radios, that was
I always
Forsaken Throne
had
Company held up. You can get those, by the way, on the
I always
door.
had music growing up. Just I know they all have as well. Matt, Pete, Rob. They can
Oh,
all tell you their story. My thing was when I was younger, I listened to everything from the 40s up until whatever my father was listening to on the radio. And then I had the influence of like, the 80s metal, the Maiden, the Priest, the Metallica, all that stuff. The Kiss. I'm a massive Kiss freak. That's my favorite band. I always had that influence of the older stuff. A lot of Beatles in my house, a lot of Elvis in my house, and kind of branched into what I like to listen to. And when kids were listening to hip hop and rap in the 90s in high school, I was listening to Iron Maiden and Kiss and of course Soundgarden and all those bands. But
Right.
the influence since I'm little, I started playing drums at 4 years old. So it's been in my blood for a long time. I know that. I That's me.
What about you, Matt? What got you spinning, buddy?
Well, my mom was a piano player, so I was always around that type of music, classical type music. Um, and there was something about rock and roll music that I just was drawn to. Like Craig said, all the classic '80s rock being a kind of that generation. Um, and then getting into some of the heavier stuff as as I gotten older. But Yeah, I was always just drawn to it, and my dad was a guy who loved the movie music and soundtracks, so he would always show me these big, lush melodies, and isn't that beautiful? And that would kind of, I always had that influence as well. But I was always kind of drawn to the aggressiveness and the peak delivery of energy of the metal type music.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. And that's what I love about talking about this because I think it really uncovers more of your background with music and how you got to it. And you can hear these influences if you listen to these tracks. You can totally clue in what they're saying. Pete, what's going on with you, man? Did you have that same experience, or what happened, man, that really influenced you to say, you know what, man, I want to get on stage and I want to do this.
Yeah, it's really hard. My story is funny because they always laugh at me that I don't like heavy metal technically. What draws me to metal, that's the funniest thing I know, but it's weird.
The
It's
things
true,
that happen on your way to the office, man.
right?
Yeah.
What drew me into all this is I've been a musician my whole life. I started playing like the recorder and the trumpet and the nonsense in grade school, but then I was always had the guitar in my DNA. I found that, and then it was just full speed ahead the second I touched one. And but I was always drawn to really interesting, very melodic music. But there was also something like Matt said about the aggression in metal, the power you feel in your feet when you listen to it. Like that really
Yeah.
excites me. So I take that kind of that those beautiful melodic moments, but I like infusing them with power. So that's why for me, Forsaken Throne is a playground because I get to do all of that, and we like to have really big, powerful mixes. We like to do really melodic things. We like to break it down, and all this stuff just kind of comes together for me. But my influences go anywhere from, Stravinsky to Steve Morse to Rush to Symphony X. I'm just all over the place. But one thing that all that stuff has in common is it's all really interesting, creative, and beautiful.
Man, and I just got to point out, Peter, that the piano in a lot of the tracks and the keyboard work, it just fits perfectly.
Thank
I
you.
mean,
Thank
I've
you.
heard this before, it's kind of pushed, keyboards pushed or not enough or whatever, but you seem to plug right in and it fulfills the sound. And I think that a good keyboardist does that, and you've done it so very well, man. I really was. That was something I really noted. My mom was a pianist,
Mhm.
so I grew up with a baby grand in my house, and I didn't know that everybody didn't have a
Yeah.
baby in their living room like we did, man. So I totally get that, man. And thank you for sharing that, Robert. What about you, buddy? Man, what got your bass thumping, dude? What happened?
All right. Well, it all started when I was a young child. I was kind of like born listening to metal. Honestly, so weird how it happened. Like like the first my first introduction to metal was Kiss. That was probably like in the early '80s. Although I was born actually way before that. But anyway, then I started listening to Twisted Sister, bands like Motley Crue, and then it just kind of escalated. Then I started getting into bands like Slayer, Exodus, Venom. I'm into like a lot of death metal, black metal. And then I started getting into then Peter started getting me into more of the prog stuff. I was started listening to Rush, which is not really metal, but it's like definitely prog. And then I love Symphony X, like Dream Theater. And then I joined a band back in the mid '90s, and I was actually, playing guitar back then, a bit, and we couldn't find a bass player anywhere. So what got me started playing bass was I had no bass line in my house. I'm like, I'll just play bass, and I actually found out that that was my instrument. And
Yeah, that's how it happens, man.
I'm going with
Yeah.
the guitar, bass. I mean, I just clicked with it much more, and then and it's kind of funny because from my early days listening to music, I always seem to hear bass above and beyond any other instrument. So and then that's and so I'm like, this was my instrument, and then it's just kind of escalated from there, and and I'm kind of like Peter in the sense that I think the perfect metal composition integrates both power, aggression, and melody. If it's missing one of those three key items, it's missing something. So you have to. So if you listen to a metal riff song and you can't remember it in your head, and surely after listening to it, the writer made a mistake. Like I always, when all the contributions that I made to this album, I always incorporate a lot of aggression and a lot of melody, and that's what makes this band, click. We just incorporate a lot of, melody with aggression, as Pete said, and that's basically what my background, you know.
Yeah, man, and that's great. I think they should put a warning label on the back of bases. Warning, if you pick this up and use it, it could be addicting and could change your life, especially if your other bandmates say, now you're playing bass. But that's okay, man, because the best things in life are typically thrust upon us. And then, like you said, you discover something new. That happened. That happened to me too, man. I started playing the bass the same reason, and I discovered that, man, after playing guitar for so long, and I started playing the bass, I was like, wow, man, I could really play it a lot better than I could before. And I just discovered a lot about my style and what I could do, man. And now I play bass all the time, man. And so I get that, man. I totally get.
It was kind of like one of those happy accidents. It's like, as we couldn't find a bass player. I'm like, I'll just play bass, and boom, it was just like, and it just it kind of everything evolved from there. And then music from the time I was a child, it's always been like an obsession of mine. I always have music in my head. It's like I can't, even if I wanted to stop it, it's just not happening. And even today, I'm constantly.
I like that you pointed that out, and I just wanted to take a poll real quick. Does anybody else hear music in their head? Like can play music in their head?
Torture.
Every 30 seconds of my life.
Torture.
Yeah, all the time, man. And not everybody has that. I found that.
And they don't get it. People don't get it. So
I wrote a Dark Night of the Soul on the beach, sitting in a chair next to my wife on our anniversary trip. The whole song, sitting there in my head, and I was singing it to myself the whole weekend. I came home, ran to my guitar, and figured it out.
That's amazing, man. And that's what makes, I think, musicians, man. It's just we do something. I don't know. We go about life differently, see it in a different color. I don't know what it is, man. Yeah. But it's different. I know that from a lot of people I talk to, and it seems to be that the common thread is our past and what happened when we were young, grew up around music or had music in the home. It just doesn't make a sense. So if you're out there listening and you want your kids to grow up in rock and roll, put a guitar in their hand and sing them some songs, put some albums on, whatever you got to do, man, and influence the children to rock on. That's important. Great. Hey, I want to ask, and I think it's Craig, I'm not sure, who is the main lyricist? And probably, I guess, Pete, you said something. So who does most of the writing for you guys?
The main lyrics, me, I come with a lot of different, I have a lot of, like Pete, I know Pete said this before in a podcast, we have tons of songs written lyric wise. I have pages and pages of lyrics, and some of them will bring together. We change them on the fly. We make them fit. We try to make them fit our songs and the melody. There's times where it's a little too wordy and too much, and we all work together on that. So we all work together with either whether it's making them fit, making them rhyme together, or making them flow better. For the most part, I guess I could say I write the most, but everybody does something related to lyric writing in this band. But I know I have a ton of stuff, but I'll come in and it won't even fit like the line we're working for. And I know Matt will throw lines in, Pete will throw lines in, Rob will throw lines in. Like with Chains, I can tell you with Chains, that's Rob's idea. That I took some of those words and just made it work better together. Yeah. But that's originally Rob's idea. Rob gets all the credit. I'll give him all the credit for that one. And we just took certain words to make it fit better. But there's a lot of things that I write. It may not be a Forsaken Throne song at first, but over time we make it turn into a Forsaken Throne. Pete said it's the secret sauce. He always goes by the secret sauce. And there's times where I'll be doing the vocal, and Pete will be right in front of the computer doing all the mixing, all the recording, and it just comes out. There was a time we're working on, whether it was Cloak of Silence on the new album or the Tesseract song, where something just came out and we all looked at each other and went, wow. Or I hear them when they're behind me, and because my door is closed when I'm doing the vocals, and I'll hear them go, wow, that really fits together. It's certain things that we all work it together. While there's a main lyricist, sure, but everyone throws something in with the lyrics.
And that's great. And I think that's when you reach that moment that the band can work together and everybody input and draw on everybody. And that's a lot harder than it seems, because a lot of times in bands everybody wants to push their thing, and that's cool, but sometimes it can create conflicts within the band, struggles. So I think one of the biggest things as a band family is working through those struggles, man, and and working it out and bending when you need to bend for the sake of the band. And I want to ask one last thing. I'm just performing and stuff. This goes, Craig. I asked, is it difficult, man? I guess you sing and play the drums, right? Am I right? Catch it.
I do. If push came to shove and we had to really get out there and do it with enough practice, obviously I can. Um, it's a very, I'm sure you've heard the music. It's technical. It's not easy
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And
right. That's
like
what I'm asking.
we
Right.
always say that Forsaken Throne is our one metal band we can all agree on. Matt and I have more of a similar metal together, metal
Yeah.
sound, metal likes. Matt and I have always been a little more closer in that aspect, but I have the other bands that I listen to with Pete and Rob as well. So it actually, I've known Rob for 25, 27 years, and I just found out he was a Kiss fan 2 months ago. So it's like, so
How
like
can this
there's,
happen?
and it's
That's
and
not
again, these
normal,
are
man.
this
There's
is
nothing
family.
wrong with that, dude.
Yeah, this is family. So it's like when playing the stuff, and I mean I can play the stuff note for note. When you throw in the vocals, it makes it challenging, but I know that I can sit and do it with anything. I've played long enough and sang and played long enough that I can do it. And it's a nuisance, I'll tell you that much. And I
I
hate them
bet.
sometimes,
Man,
but
I'd
they
be I'd be out
throw
of breath. I'd be and
yeah,
then
they throw some music and they'll tell you, I'll tell them flat out, I hate you all. And it's just there's certain things that come up, and it's intricate music, but
yeah.
it's good thinking man's metal. That's how I like to look at
Yes,
it.
that's exact, man. That is an excellent way to put it. This is mature metal, man. This is something that is properly produced. It comes off right. It's just a fantastic work, guys. And I can see now talking to you how that can happen, man. And that is bomb. One of the things I talk about a lot too is just the struggles. And recently in a post you mentioned that it was, the financial realities of being a band can be a struggle. Did I read that right? What are some of the difficulties that you guys go through as a band? What are the challenges that you face right now?
It's interesting because the definition of success is so different now than when we
Yeah,
first started playing music together. You know, 20, 30 years ago, success meant you were selling a lot of CDs or tapes or whatever it was at the time. And you're seeing money that way. But there was always that gatekeeper, the record company. And if they didn't think your music was worth getting heard, it didn't get heard. So you printed a bunch of demos at CD Baby, and then you sold them out of your trunk or at your concerts, and probably make more money than most bands who have worldwide listenership today. But if you
yeah,
look at it today, like we are, we have hundreds of thousands of people have heard our music all over the world, and the financial return from that is very small. So it's kind of like you get rid of the gatekeepers, and you can say, well, I'll go around you and I'm going to do my music and get it out there anyway, and then the whole world gets to hear it and they like it or they don't. You find success there, then the trade-off is really get a lot of spoils from that. So it's a
yeah,
really weird conflict, and anybody who does this, and I don't think anybody in our field would disagree. Like, you have to really like what you're doing. You have to like who you're doing it with, because we always kind of have to ask each other. We check in every once in a while, like, what are we doing this for? Why are we doing this? No one's paying off their mortgage with this, so are we still having fun? And as long as we can say we're still having fun, we're good. But that's just the thing that come down to earth on every once in a while.
yeah. You have to be realistic today. It's a double-edged sword, man. You do have the potential to be able to reach mass audiences, but like you said, the return is just not what it needs to be. And I encourage you, by the way, if you're out there, if you're watching this podcast, look, these guys have invested their time, their money, their life, their effort, their sweat, blood, and tears. Do us all a favor and buy some of their music, man. What would it hurt? You know, you're going to have some killer music and you're going to help a band. And that's what's really important because these guys need to know that that effort's appreciated. 100,000 people, you guys should be ashamed of yourself, man. You should all buy an album today, man. If
it
you're
would be
listening to my
awesome
I
if
would.
people did.
Thank you.
It would
Thank
be. I
you.
mean, it's thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
But at the same
it
time, I
needs to
do want
be
to say
said,
that
you know,
if
because the free ride is ridiculous, man. You know, it's time for somebody to figure something out. We're doing a lot of things that we can in American Metal Magazine. We support the independent music business, obviously, and we have a new system called a rating system that signifies real bands, bands of quality, bands of expertise, and you have to have a sponsor to be rated. So we at least feel like what we can do is number one, weed out AI music and rate those songs as AI involved because it's a big infiltration into the music. Now you got AI coming along, right? And we have an AI radio show that caters to AI music, but the real bands have to be separated and acknowledged for that. So that's what we're doing with the certification system and helping to get better recognition and better exposure for really what is top bands. So I hope that you visit American Metal Magazine and check that rating system out. I know that some of your songs, we're going to go ahead and rate them and send them back to you so you guys see how that works for the certification, and you'll have that to send to DJs
Thank
and
you.
further on. So we're
Yeah.
very excited
That's
about that.
fantastic. And thank you for having us on just to get our music out there. And we always said that we're just so proud of that Bloodline album. And
Yes.
we just want to get it into the ears of people who we think would like it and enjoy it. And just appreciate you, putting the word out for us. Thank you.
Well, we're definitely going to put this on. We're going to put this on our next AI radio show. And I don't know if you've heard it, but what we do is we have AI music and then we bring out real bands so people can see the difference, man. You know,
Yeah.
we talk about the real bands. And then we gain a lot of new followers. Man, you wouldn't believe the thousands of people that are coming to the site. And, you know, so you get to expose yourself. And we help share that space with these AI creators. I think there's a space for that, but you got to realize that real bands are real bands too. You can't go see an AI song, man.
Yeah,
And there's a
exactly.
different effort level. So we're trying to divide that with the rating system. So what if everything turned around, man? We talked a little bit about the struggles, but let's go the opposite way, man. Okay. And this is the hardest question I think that I ask of anybody. So I hope you're ready for this one, man. What if it goes good? What if you get to that level and there's a break point where people really do start buying mass albums and you get to perform live, and at least at the very top there's still a lot of activity in rock and roll and record sales and things like that. So let's just say that it takes off tomorrow, you're getting asked to play here, you can do anything in the world that you want, man, musically. Are you guys ready to do that? And what would you do first? Craig, what would you do?
Man, if things everything worked out like that and it was so my day job, I'm a teacher, okay? So I teach phys ed. I'm outside every day in the heat in Florida. You know how that goes.
Oh my God, dude.
If there was a way that everything turned around and there's money coming in and everything's flying off and successful and someone says, "Here, this is what we want you to do." I would gladly do it. In a perfect world, a world like that.
Yeah.
I would love if streams didn't get just 3,000th of a cent per play on a Spotify or an Apple or whatever they played on. I would love it if people that viewed your videos, it paid like it did when all those bands in the 80s and 70s and 80s were making their heyday of you put a record out, people bought it millions and millions. I think of the band Boston all the time, playing back alleys, and then
Yeah.
someone shows up in a Cadillac and a cigar and goes, "I'm going to offer you this contract. You're touring." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
That's it.
in a perfect world, that's what it does. You quit your day job. This becomes your everyday, where
Yeah.
it can be a successful career. You make the money. It's not even the fame and the fortune. It's to have a life about it, to enjoy
There
yourself,
you go, man.
you know.
That's it.
And fame and fortune is obviously it goes hand in hand with it. Then all the excess comes fine, but to do it, love it, and get paid for it, what you're worth, what you're putting into it. To make an album in 3 years is not an easy feat, but we put a lot of blood and a lot of time. Pete spends hundreds of hours mixing and editing and making us sound. We give him what we have, and he makes it perfect for us. But we all put it in to get paid, to get your worth on what you put in. The time Matt spends writing solos and riffs, the time Rob spends playing bass parts, coming up with stuff, constant 20 years worth of music to make a living out of it and make that your life. That would be incredible.
Yeah,
It's
that's really it,
incredible.
man. You know, it's all about being able to do this full time, man, and just concentrate, just make music every day and go and play every day. Man, I think I start thinking about that, man. I just get all excited. You know, Matt, what would you do? Would you really prefer to be in the studio, man, if everything was just keep on rocking, or do you think you'd want to get out and perform? What would be your choice there?
Oh man, I tell you what, anything that comes out of this album and everything that we've put into it would be just a blessing. So I would take it all in as it came and just take it day by day and then just embrace anything that comes with it. Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yep.
talking about, right?
Yep. Yep.
Hey, Pete, what would happen, man? What do you think the best move would be, man? If it all starts happening, would it be a tour? Would it be a UK tour, man? What do you feel about that? And are you ready to tour, man? Can you change your life, man? If that happened, that'd be difficult.
Yeah, I think in order for that to happen, I think a lot would need to change as far as just how much we could really get out of it financially. But I pretty much right in there with Matt about, taking it in as it comes and appreciating this the blessing of being successful. And the biggest thing that would happen is we would have more time because we all work during the day, and Bloodline was created entirely between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we always say, like, well, that took 3 years. If we could just belly up in the studio every
Oh
day
yeah.
for 8, 10 hours, we'd have a new album in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
We work really well
If you
together.
could
We
get the
work
time,
fast,
if you could
you
commit
know.
that time, and you could just get so much more done. I feel that, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Absolutely.
sitting there spinning out mixes for people to listen to on the car on the way home, like through One Bloodshot Eye at 2:30 in the morning. It's like, oh yeah, that way they can wake up to it. Look what we did last night. But like that would be the biggest. That would be so freeing for us if we could really dedicate our
And make a
best
life out of
hours,
it, you know?
energy to just
Yeah.
writing and creating the best music.
And Robert, what about you, man? What would happen? Again, let me emphasize: money's no longer the problem, right? Like
I
it's gushing in, man. But it's to get to this exercise. What I want to know, man, is how you would react to that.
Well, I have to be honest with you. I'm with the rest of them. Um, to be a full time professional musician would be my dream job. If we were in a position where we could do this full time and make a good living doing it, I would devote my life to it. I would. Like I truly love this world, and I would immerse myself in it completely. I wouldn't mind working even 10, 12 hours a day in the studio, writing and recording and composing. I mean, just everything. I mean, honestly, like this would, in a perfect world, this would be my dream job. And yes, I would take everything as it comes, and I would embrace it. 100%. It would be the best life ever.
Do you
It
think that you guys would like even tour like Japan and
Oh man.
really, I mean, because seriously, that's a big commitment, man. That's hard. It's hard work, man. Do you think you could do that, man? Do you think you'd be ready to do that?
I mean, if we had to make a decision at this moment, I know it doesn't work for people for lives with children and stuff like that, but to think about that from a different point of view, that it was able to happen, it's on the table to do it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I that's like Rob said, to be a professional musician, a tour. I remember being 5 years old, standing in the bathroom in the Bronx, looking in the mirror, lip singing and playing air guitar to I
Oh
think
yeah.
it was, I want to say it was Power Slave. Was it Power Slave? I think the Power Slave album. I'm sitting there in a robe and I'm playing air guitar to 2 minutes to midnight.
It's
And I'm
hard to
like,
play
man, I
2
used
minutes
to
to midnight
envision
on a guitar.
myself, you know, like when Painkiller came out by Judas Priest, the song "A Touch of Evil," the guitar solo. I used to envision myself playing that on the stage
Isn't it
with
funny
wind
that we
behind me.
all play air instruments that we don't play? I do the same thing. I do the drums. I'm
Oh,
always
that
rocking out on the drums. Always.
I'm the best air drummer there ever was, man.
Well, I've said it before in this podcast. I said, funny thing can happen to you guys on the way to the office, man. And this is what happens, man, when talent, perseverance, and will combine and create something. And I can't stress it enough, man. Get out there, listen. If you come to American Metal Magazine, you're going to find them. There is a complete write up on this band. We even have an AI agent called Amy. She can tell you all about this band and tell you where you can get the latest tickets, the latest scoop, what's going on with the band, man. This is American Metal Magazine, and it has links to their site and where you can get more information and buy their music, man. Well, guys, it looks like we're wrapping up on time. We have to keep it to a 30-minute double. You know, radio likes it at 30 minutes. But before I get out of here, can you guys give me a quick shout out to anybody that you want to shout real quick?
guys.
Oh man, I'd shout out my family just for all the love and support, and these guys that I do it with. I mean, they're. I feel very honored to play with them. They're some of the best musicians around, and it's just an honor to do this with them.
Rock on, Craig. What you got, man? You got a shout out?
Yeah, my family has supported my dream to be a musician my entire life. Like I said, it's in my entire family, but family, the guys in the band, their families who have taken me in, because let's face it, you know, I don't have kids. So I know Rob doesn't either. So they've taken me in as one of their own, and I love them, and I will do anything to play with them, be with them, talk to them.
I hope
But
you
my
guys can
family,
claim them on your taxes.
yeah, I would love to. You know, and my family though, and you know, just people that are listening to this band, we have people that, so we have the Instagram, we have the TikTok, we have all that stuff. Okay. And it's not easy to do that stuff being our age. And let's face it, I'm not walking down the street with a you know, a blousy shirt with rippled pecs, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people are taking the time to listen to us. So thank you to the fans too.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, we're out of town, man. We're going to have you guys back again real soon. We're going to hear from Robert, Peter on some shout outs too on another scene. But man, thanks for being here today. I would like for you guys to could you give me a big go AMM right here? Are y'all ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, real loud.
Go
MM.
Wow!